Hey all, welcome to ShareTrek. This is Raj here. The markets are looking very interesting. They have given us a lot of hope. But today I want to go directly into the TradingView platform, look at all the indices and all the shares, and then afterwards I'd like to make a few observations. So let's get started. So here we are in the TradingView platform, and I would like to start off with the Nasdaq futures. As you can see, we are clearly out of our bear channel out here, and we also fell back below this line of support which we had earlier. I'm going to mark it a line of resistance now. But interestingly, we are following a bullish pennant out here, which is again a positive. So I don't see anything bad out here as yet in this chart. Let us go and have a look at where QQQ is, and I'm more interested in looking at our horizontal line of resistance, which was giving us the upper limit for the consolidation range in which the shares were moving. As you can see, from 14th of September onwards, they have been bouncing between these two. And ideally, I would have liked to see this go up further. Now, I'm going to adjust this a little bit so that it's more straight. So I would have ideally liked for the price index, QQQ index, to go beyond this line of consolidation, but that has not happened. I am now hoping that we have a bullish pennant formed out here, and then we move up further. We are in a very, very steep bull channel out here, and we are still in a bearish market until we break through above this, and then I'll draw the next line of resistance. But this is a very critical resistance in my opinion, because it is forming the consolidation range in which the market has been moving all the way since 13th of September. And right now we are on the 31st of January 2022. So entire of September, October, November, December, and January. So 5 months the index has been in this range. So let us see what happens. At this point of time, our MACD looks bullish. And momentum is also pretty good. It's above average and picking up. So I'm feeling very optimistic. But friends, again, let me caution you. Everything looks good on the technical and strong, but fundamentals are not very strong. So fundamentals can strike anytime. But right now it's looking good. Now S&P 500 also is looking good. IWM Russell Index is also looking good. It went past the line of resistance that we had, the minor line of resistance. So I'm going to convert that into a support. This is a very good sign. We have plenty of room on the RSI, and our MACD is also bullish. Russell is looking great. Dow Jones Industrial Average. We have a bullish pennant officially formed out here. So whenever we have bullish pennant, it's always on a rising trend, and there's this rising trend. And this pennant is 99% going to break upwards. That's what the technicals say. Our RSI is pretty good. Momentum is pretty good. MACD is also decent. It is bullish. So Dow Jones is looking good. And VIX. VIX has had broken through our resistance, which happens to be at 19.75. And then it came back down again. So that remains a resistance. So we had a little bit of movement of upward jump out here, but then it was an awkward gap up. So that gap up has to be filled on the way down. So I'm thinking that our VIX is going to start coming down, at least for the next session, because momentum is also weak and pointed down. MACD is bullish, but just about. So that's also looking very good to me. And if you look at the US dollar is still within this bear range. And our MACD is bullish, but momentum is below average. So I'm thinking that the US dollar is going to stay weak, and that allows money to be in other asset classes like stocks. Now that said, let us look at the index movers. If you look at Microsoft is looking pretty good. It's above the line of support at 245. MACD is bullish. Momentum is also pretty good, moving upwards. So Microsoft is looking great. And if you look at Apple is also above the line of support. And this is a bullish pennant in formation, and it's likely to go up. MACD is bullish. Momentum is also pretty good, pointed upwards, above average. So Apple is also looking good. Amazon is looking great, but Amazon is very close to being overbought, so it has still got a little juice in the tank, and it can support the index for tomorrow. And MACD is also bullish out here. And Google is looking good. It has a bullish MACD, and it has got a momentum that is picking up, and it's above average. And again, I can see a kind of bullish pennant out here. The only thing I'm concerned about this is the unsystematic gap up that we have had here. That's the only thing that worries me. And if you look at the FANG index out here, FNGU, which is a ETF that tracks FANG stocks, that's also looking pretty good. A bullish pennant forming out there, and MACD is pretty good. It's bullish, and momentum also has got plenty of way to run before RSI gets overbought. So everything is looking good out here. Let me quickly go back to the futures once again. The futures are mildly negative at this point of time. We'll have to see what happens with this in the morning. And now I would like to go and have a look at our Genomics shares. Just going to sort it out to have the biggest winners on the top. So DNA, Ginkgo Bioworks, is doing great. It has increased by 7.14% during the session, and it has come to 1.95. And if I look at the chart out here, it's all looking bullish. MACD is bullish, and momentum is also picking up pretty well. Editas has also picked up 5.78%, and it has broken a resistance out here at 9.65. This is a big positive for the stock. And there's plenty of room for the RSI. MACD is also bullish, looking good. Intelia is also looking great. MACD is looking great. Momentum is also looking pretty good. Plenty of room for the RSI to raise. Our next resistance is going to be at 43.64, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to break through it by the looks of it. And then if we go to Verve broke through a resistance at 22.47, which in my books is a positive sign. We are also looking for Verve to fill up this gap down. For that, it needs some positive catalyst, but the pull is upwards. MACD is just about bullish, and momentum is above average and picking up. So that's also looking good for Verve. But there'll be a little bit of volatility as we start approaching the earnings date, which is going to be 13th March 23. So closer to that, there'll be a bit of volatility, and the share price can drop. That usually happens. And then if you look at Fate is continuing to move upwards. It is getting stronger by the day. It's just entered into the zone of civilization. MACD is pretty good. Next, let us look at Bluebird. Bluebird was up 3.93%. It still has to fill up this gap down. And friends, it will happen when Bluebird gives us more news about SkySona and about number of new clients that have been enrolled for Zynteglo. So there is no new news update from Bluebird here. As soon as we get an update, and if it is positive, I think we'll be filling up this gap in a hurry. That's my feeling. But right now, our resistance at 6.44 is keeping this locked in here. Momentum is trying to pick up, but MACD is still bearish. And if we look at IMATIX is up 3.44%, and our MACD is not that strong. It is bullish, but just about. And momentum is below average, so it's not looking great for IMATIX at this point of time. Beam was up 3.21%, and it's gone above average in terms of momentum, so that I like. And MACD is also bullish, that also I like, but there is got to be a little more momentum on Beam Therapeutics. And the unfortunate fact is that it has broken down below the bullish line of support that we had before. But I'm of the opinion that the bullish line of support is more sustainable when it is a little bit flat. And now it is getting a bit flatter. This is going to be a more sustainable bullish line of support. So I would wait and see what happens tomorrow. Because momentum is above average, I'm optimistic that we'll continue to stay above this line of support for the new bull channel. ARCG is doing well. Again, it's formed a bullish pennant, and it has got to go upward because it's on an upward trend. The bullish pennant is on the upward trend. And MACD is also bullish, as well as momentum is upwards and above average. ARCG is looking good. Bionano Genomics has got to bounce off this line of support so that we can reach the target of 2.08 for this cup and handle. If it doesn't happen now, and if it falls below the line of support, then I think the cup and handle is going to expire. Our MACD is bullish, and momentum is just above 50%. So I'll reserve my opinions because there is going to be the earnings result due on 16th of March 2023. So one possibility is that we meet the target of the cup and handle and then experience volatility as we come closer to the earnings day, or we keep on consolidating until we come to the earnings day, and then depending on the earnings, we may either go up or down. Those are the two possibilities. And if I look at CRISPR Therapeutics, it's up 2.12%, and it's been held back by this line of resistance at 50.83, which it just about barely crossed. It's at 51.02. So if I was to expand the chart, then you can see that it's slightly above where we were. So this is still a positive in my books because we are still on the upward channel. If I was to draw a channel out here, you will see that we are on an upward channel. Color this green because this is support. So let us see whether we stay on top of this for the next trading day, which is tomorrow. I think that it will stay above there because MACD is bullish and momentum is also above average and pointing upwards. So CRISPR should do well. However, one of the factors that might be impacting CRISPR and making it to potentially consolidate or lose a little bit of value is because we have the earnings report due on 14th of February. So as we come closer to 14th of February, there'll be a bit of trepidation out here. And let's look at Illumina, which was up 1.95%. And earnings for Illumina are due on the 7th of February. MACD is bullish and momentum is above average and pointed upward. So Illumina is looking good. And hopefully we get some information from Illumina. I hope that they drop the Grail pursuit and they start focusing on their core business. And probably they have some good news about Osno and its Osno sales numbers. And that is something that can cheer the market and push this upwards. And next, let's go on to look at Caribou Biosciences. Caribou Biosciences was up 1.12% today, and it's above the diagonal line of resistance of the bear channel. So I'm going to mark this diagonal line of resistance green so that I can show that it's a support going forward. MACD is bullish, momentum is above average and picking up. So everything is looking good for Caribou Biosciences right now. And let us see if they have any news on the CB010. So apart from December 12th, there is no new news. So let it go. Allogene is up 0.65%. And Allogene again looks good on the charts. And it's forming a bullish pennant out here. And also it's on a bull channel at this point of time. But we want more proof. So we'll wait and see. And again, Allogene is also going to be subject to a little bit of volatility as we go closer to 23rd of Feb 2023, which is the Q4 results time for it, Q4 2022 results time. PSEB was up marginally at 0.18%. It's still within a bullish pennant out here, so I'm comfortable with it. Momentum is still above average. I'm comfortable out there. MACD is still bullish, even though it's just about to cross the signal line. And let us look at earnings, which is due on February 2nd. And that's the reason why you may find a bit of consolidation out here. If the earning news is good, then I think we're potentially going to break above this. Next, let us look at SQZ Biotech, which was down 1.20%. It's been consolidating in the last 3 or 4 days. MACD is bullish. Momentum is still below average. And that's the reason why I can't say that the share is doing well. I think it's going to consolidate. We have got earnings also coming up. We need some catalyst for SQZ Biotech, and I am not seeing any in the environment right now. Invitae is down minus 4.84. Invitae is a pretty good stock, and I'm I don't understand why the cup and handle market pattern could not be satisfied. It has fallen down. I think we are losing the cup and handle target. Our momentum has just come to average, and it's poised to go below. And MACD is just ready to turn bearish. And we have the earnings results coming in on the 13th of February. So friends, I think I no longer stand by this cup and handle pattern because I think we have lost it because of the way the market behaved today. It started low and picked up and traded within a narrow range. So market is worried about the earnings report. So I think that this cup and handle pattern has expired. We can't look at the target price here right now. We'll have to wait until the earnings come or some new catalyst arrives. Well, friends, as we saw, the technicals are looking great for most of the stocks and the indices. I can't believe this, but the fundamentals are not looking that good. So I'm really worried about what's going to happen because the fundamentals are what really matter. And the fundamentals are supposed to influence the technicals. So either we don't know something that is happening or the market is just going on a crazy spree. The biggest surprise is that the Eurozone churned out a growth of 0.1% for the fourth quarter against an expectation of minus 0.1. So that's a pretty good performance by the Eurozone. I think this is on the back of lower energy prices. This follows 0.3% growth in the third quarter that they had. So their fourth quarter growth was less than their third quarter growth, but it was way better than what the market was expecting. So that's a positive for Eurozone. And I think the declining energy prices have contributed to this positive performance. Efforts to switch supply sources are getting settled, I believe, because Eurozone had this tiff with Russia because of Ukraine crisis. To switch from Russian gas to other sources. So all those processes, I think, are now settling down, and eventually it may reduce the possibility of a recession. Potentially some countries like Ireland may avoid recession, but many of the Eurozone countries are likely to have a potential mild recession, at least at the very minimum. The areas of concern are Germany and Italy, who underperformed and potentially may enter a recession. Germany seems to have been heavily dependent on Russian gas, and it seems that it will take more time and efforts to switch sources and rationalize the energy mix and costs. The ECB is still set to hike interest rate by 50 basis points, at least that's what the market expects. And they need to control their inflation, so they are definitely going to do that. And that's baked into what's happening in the European market. Back home, we had a disappointing report from UPS. Their adjusted earnings per share came in at 3.62 versus 3.59, whereas their total revenue came in less at 27.03 billion versus 28.09 billion. And the drop in the revenue is the cause of concern out here. They also diluted their outlook a little bit, and that again puts the market in a little bit of a negative sentiment. Meanwhile, GM performed better than expected. Adjusted earnings for GM, earnings per share came in at $2.12 versus the expectation of 1.69 that the street expected. And also their revenue came in at 43.11 billion versus 40.65 billion that was expected. So overall, I think this is a surprise, good performance, and this puts the market in a better frame of mind. GM still has a lot of catching up to do in the EV department. Imagine if they get their handle on the EV and start EV department and start producing a lot of electric vehicles and selling in proportion more EVs, then they are going to be really doing very, very well. So with that said, let us, before I wind up, I would just like to go and have a quick look at the media and see what is happening out there in terms of new earnings results that we are expecting for the evening. So let me do that. So here we are. I've gone into the CNBC website, and when I see the top line out here, Dow futures are red, S&P futures are red, NASDAQ futures are red, all are red marginally. Oil is gone up and US 10-year is down. Now, when I look at this, it reminds me that even though our technicals are showing so great, we still have fundamentals that we have to worry about. So is tomorrow going to be tripped up by the fundamentals? So the positives that we see in the technicals are all subject to being shaken up by the fundamentals or any news that breaks out. Now, the first good news we have here is that AMD beats on sales and profit, but warns of 10% revenue decline in Q1. And AMD reported earnings as many of its rival chip makers have stumbled in recent weeks, citing lower consumer demand for finished electronics and gluts of parts needed to make PCs and servers. Kathy Woods was talking about this kind of a situation where there'll be a glut because people over-ordered and double-ordered to get components in time to feed the market. So that is but expected. Their EPS came in at 0.69 per share adjusted versus 0.67 per share expected. So they did well on the EPS section. Revenue was at 5.6 billion versus 5.5 billion. So they did well here as well. AMD said it expected 5.3 billion in sales in the current quarter, slightly lower than a Refinitiv estimate of 5.47 billion. AMD's estimate suggests a 10% decline in sale in the current quarter, and AMD's sale rose 44% in 2022. So that's what they are saying. Let us see what they are doing in terms of forward-looking. Guided analysis to a 10% decline in year-over-year sales in the current quarter. The stock rose over 2% in external trading. Okay, so generally the market liked what they have said, and they are predicting a 10% decline in year-over-year sales. But the fact remains that they have got a glut of stocks which need to be sold, and so it's going to realize money, and they don't have to manufacture it because they already manufactured it. So their books are going to improve. as the backlog is cleared, and also the demand and pricing for the new stock will start improving as the glut is eliminated. So this is pretty good in my books. And let's go back and see what else is happening out here. Cathy Wood's Innovation ETF notches best month ever as beaten down tech stocks roar back, and Snap shares plunge in a week, etc., etc. Leave that. Watch the stock as electric vehicle battery grows. Asia Pacific shares trade higher as investors gear up for Fed rate hike decision. Amazon layoffs hit workers in robotics, grocery, health, and AWS division. Anytime a big company lays off workers, it means addition to the bottom line because they're cutting the cost. Employment is the biggest cost. So it's all positive for the share. Kyiv pushes for fighter jets despite US-German refusal. Russia makes concerted assault on Donetsk. PayPal to lay off 2,000 employees in coming weeks, about 7% workforce. Of course, again, this is going to boost the price of PayPal because anytime you have a layoff, that means the costs are going down and they're going to add to the bottom line. General Motors doesn't expect significant US production of EVs until the second half of this year. So as I was mentioning earlier when I spoke about the GM results, I think this is not a good sign, but I was hoping that they would be able to ramp up this year as soon as possible, but they're talking about second half. With GM, we'll have to actually see in second half whether they actually achieve it. It could potentially happen in the third half. So there could be disappointment ahead, but let us see how GM executes on its promise. And then we have... that's it. Those are the main news that we have. Stocks making biggest moves after hours. Snap, Electronics Arts, AMD, and more. So let us see who are the ones. Snap is doing well. Electronics Arts is doing well. Western Digital is doing well. Match Group, AMD. So AMD is doing well. Just let us have a quick look at NVIDIA. Because I have NVIDIA stocks. They are doing very well in my portfolio. In fact, I have a very good profit out there. Let's go into semiconductors. And let's look at NVIDIA. Yeah, it's doing well. NVIDIA is doing well. Post market, it lost 1.21%, so which means it has come down further from here. Let us see where it opens up in the market. It had been overheated, so it came down. It could consolidate and then move up again. And if it forms a pattern out here, it will be a bullish pennant, and I would expect it to go upwards. And we have our earnings coming up on 22nd February, so that could also cause a little bit of volatility. But I'm liking what I see here. Intel has been doing bad. It has a big gap down out here. People are talking that the execution in Intel is not good, and that's the reason why the stock is suffering. Hopefully they pick up and they start filling up this gap down and start moving up. But right now the chart is not looking great for Intel. And let's look at Palantir. I haven't seen it for a long time. Palantir is picking up steadily. MACD is bullish. Momentum is also going up. We have earnings coming up on 13th of February 2023. But friends, one of my problems with Palantir when I stopped looking at it was that they were constantly diluting the equity and were not allowing the share to come up. So you can see that they have been range bound and they have been bouncing in the bottom. If they stop equity dilution, I think the share will pick up like anything. And along with ChatGPT and robotics and others coming up, Palantir I think is a great play, but right now I won't touch it. I would like to see what happens with that equity dilution. Another good stock that you guys have to look at is ASML. This is a company that manufactures equipment that makes the microchips, and they have advanced equipment. So this is a very good company, ASML. Now they have opened up in US as well, and I think they are in Netherlands. It's a very good company, and I think this is going to be going up significantly. So that's about my roundup. Well, friends, just to summarize, I would say that the technicals are looking absolutely fantastic, but the fundamentals are a bit iffy. So fundamentals can trip us up anytime. And as you had seen in the QQQ chart, it's still within my line of consolidation on the upper end. So until it crosses that, I can't be absolutely sure about the technicals, but so far so good. Everything is looking nice. And friends, before I go, I would like to request you that, according to YouTube stats, only 36% of you have subscribed, which means 65% of you who are watching this video have not yet subscribed. Can you please subscribe? It's not going to cost you anything. It's going to matter a lot to the channel. It helps us a lot. Please subscribe right now. There is no reason not to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. Talking about costs, if you want to support the channel, I have the super thanks feature enabled. So in any of our video, you can go to the bottom right hand side and there is a heart symbol with $1 in it. You can click that and send money to help support the channel. And also have enabled PayPal. It's on the home screen banner. And I'm going to put a link to the PayPal for me in the description here. So there are two ways in which you can financially support the channel, which can help us defray our costs out here. Anything will be much appreciated. If you can't do it, that's also fine. But at the bare minimum, please subscribe. It's costing you nothing. And before you go, there is a few more announcements I want to make. The first one is that we are introducing two new programming elements into the channel. The first one is going to be a chat between me and my friends out here. And they are friends of the channel. And it's going to be around genomics and shares and investment. But it's going to be more contemporary, so we'll be going slightly outside that range, but very close to it. Our first chat has already been recorded. Our first discussion, it's a 45-minute discussion between friends. We spoke about ChatGPT, trying to describe what ChatGPT is like, what we think about it. And then we may have a few more on that with talking about the employment aspect, talking about the aspect around social environment and other things. And we also have another training program coming up where we have tried to do some acting, to do some role play, to explain how options are, what are options and how you can do covered calls. So if you see that educational mini-series, you will learn everything about covered calls and the risks and the advantages and when to use covered calls. And that's going to be a 4-part mini-series. We already recorded and edited the first part. Today we recorded the second part and I have to edit it. We got 2 more parts to edit. As soon as that is done, it will come one day of every week. So for the next 4 weeks, we'll have 1 episode of it in sequence. So you can learn about covered calls. And if you like the content, if you put it in the description for us that you liked it and you want to see more about it, then we can teach you more about call strategies and puts and various strategies that are used. And we can record those programs and bring it to you. So as you can see, we are trying to expand the channel. Really grateful to all of you guys for pushing us to more than 2,100 in such a short period of time. We are responding to it, and now we would like the remaining 60% to actually subscribe right now. Do it right now. It's going to help the channel. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.